Hello Internet, and welcome back. It's in time for another episode of Recently Added. My name is David Baugh, and it's time to just sit back and enjoy the show. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. If you've been watching along, you know that we are just getting started on our top 10 list of the best horror movies on the Netflix Instant Queue, so that you could go ahead and make sure this Halloween season is the best possible. Last episode, we went with Tucker and Dale vs. Evil to kick off the list. This week, we're going with something a little bit different. We are still going to be grading it on the exact same scale. It's going to be based on story, pacing, acting, cinematography, and the execution of the project. I think it's something that is going to keep it all kind of a level playing field, and you know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm docking points for things. So I guess for this movie, I've gone and chosen Re-animator. Great movie. It ultimately launched a trilogy. There's Beyond Re-animator as well as The Bride of Re-animator. Pretty great movies all around. It's a very interesting story. It's not something that you would see normally. The first one starts out with a guy that gets a new roommate. He's a college student, and he finds out that he's doing all sorts of weird, outlandish, really, really unethical tests in order to bring dead flesh back to life.
It was dead.
He's in fact succeeded in doing so, and he can bring somebody back at any point in the death cycle, which is pretty cool. I guess there is the matter of them being more insane based on the amount of time that they died, but they can die multiple times and be brought back, which is pretty cool.
How do you feel? You?
Definitely is in the same vein as like Pet Sematary, in that sometimes dead is better, and this movie really sells it in that I absolutely would not want these things to happen to me. It looks horrendous, it looks awful. They're not coming back and they're super, happy. They're not coming back as zombies. It's not like that sort of story. It's a horrific thing to see. They are not in very comfortable situations. I guess when they come back, they could be in parts, they could have died in weird, varied ways. They don't typically die after that, which is pretty crazy. It really adds up to being a pretty unsettling movie. In terms of story, I'm absolutely going to give it the point. This movie really drove home the point that, sometimes dying in a horrific way is not as bad as being severely, severely injured and coming back. That to me sounds way worse. And they did a great job of walking down that line. In terms of pacing, they did employ a much slower pacing for this movie, but I felt like it created a very eerie ambiance, so I'm going to give them the point for this. It did a great job of slowly building into something crazy. It's not like, oh yeah, all these reanimated bodies are here right at once. It's like very, specific tests. They're scientists, and so they're going through the things. It's a very even and controlled escalation of things, which I liked. So I'll absolutely give it the point on that one. In terms of acting, I'm not going to give it the point for acting. This movie, the acting is pretty campy.
Herbert, you're insane! Now what happened? I had to kill him! He's dead? Not anymore.
It really, I don't think that they necessarily did anything to lose the point for acting, but I don't think they in any way earned the point for acting, so I'm not going to give it to them. They did perfectly reasonable performances out of this movie. I just don't think that they really did anything for me to say like, oh yeah, acting in this movie is fantastic. They kind of just barely teeter the line. I'm not giving them the point for those reasons in particular. In terms of cinematography, I definitely will give it the point. Any movie that you're shooting that has a bunch of effects like this one does, it can be really difficult to frame those shots effectively so that you're selling the point. They did a really great job with this. There's a lot of effects. They did really well in framing those shots and in bringing it all together and telling a cohesive story. I love the little details, like using glow stick juice to make the serum so that it's like glowing and it sort of pops off the screen. They did a really good job with that. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. In terms of execution, I'll definitely give them a point for this. There's so many effects in it and so many really well done effects in it that I think it absolutely carries the movie. They still hold up. The movie was released in 1985. The effects here are still pretty spectacular. It's still pretty hard to tell how they did it. I think they used 25 gallons of blood in the making of this movie, which definitely speaks to the types of things that are happening there. There's people that are decapitated. There's, weird and horrible accidents that befall people, and then they come back to life, and it's just unsettling. They did a great job with the execution of this movie. I would absolutely recommend it. For overall score, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 stars, which is still pretty good. I think that's right about how I feel about this movie. It's definitely something you're going to want to check out. It's a classic. It's something you're going to enjoy. If you would like, please comment below and let me know what you thought about it, or even let me know what you think should be added to the list, or if you were going to compile your list, what your list would look like. Please subscribe right down below so that you can find out more information about the project. You can also go ahead and follow me on Facebook there, or tweet me on Twitter, and we can become best friends. But as always, it was a pleasure, and you guys have a wonderful night.